In this session, I will continue the discussion about the Satipatthana, the foundations of mindfulness. In the last session, we were discussing the first of the 6 mindfulness of the body practices, which was mindfulness of breathing. In this session, I want to continue with the next 2, the second and the third. I'm going to bring them together because they are pretty closely related. And we'll discuss what they are. And then just as similarly as how we talked about with the breath, there's a range of ways to work with them, not just one. So the second practice is called the 4 postures. And it's being mindful of sitting, standing, walking, and lying down. So, and it adds in, or however the body is arranged, but it's those 4 postures that we can actually bring our mindfulness into that. And so, you probably don't need a lot of instruction, but it's expanding because as I'm sitting here now, I may be aware of the body breathing as part of the experience, and that's really was the first practice we discussed in the last session. But there's more. There may be particular touch points that come, just the pressure sitting on the cushion, the feeling of my back against the back of the chair, feet on the ground, maybe my hands. So there may be specific touch points that come, or it may be more of a general just sense of the whole body being here and no particular experience popping out to my awareness, say. So that's a general feeling. That's another way. So if you want to try this practice, sit in whatever posture, chair, cross-legged, however you do it, and just bring your attention to the body, and you can see how does it present itself to you. Or you can go sort of directing the attention and noticing and looking in different places. So you can play with that. Don't stir it up, but hold it lightly and then land in whatever way you like in relationship to how you're feeling your body. And that's the same for any of these other postures. You can experiment with standing meditation. That's a respected style of meditation. And, when you stand, you may feel your breathing again, or there may be particular experiences again. And whether your eyes are open or closed, you can play with that, or just a general sense of the body in that posture. And it's the same for the other sitting, standing, walking, and lying down, right? So that's not that complicated. It also then ends with the refrain that I'll come back to about internally, externally, rising and passing away. But let me hold that off for now, because I want to bring in the third group. So the first group here was postures. The second one is really kind of the same, but it's a variation. It's just all activities. So it's expanded really as a way to think about it, the 4 postures. And there's a list it gives, when you're eating, when you're moving about, extending your arms or legs, urinating and defecating is in the list. And so I'm not going to go through everything, but it's basically saying everything. It would include for us in modern times, if you're brushing your teeth, you can be mindful of that. Or if you, comb or brush or groom your hair, you'd be mindful of that. If you're washing dishes, you'd be mindful of that. Driving a car, you'd be mindful of that. Anything we're doing, you could be mindful of. So this can be taught and practiced in a range of ways. There are places, meditation centers and teachers for whom they may not give any particular emphasis to breathing meditation, mindfulness of breathing, and it's just moment by moment through the day, whether you're in formal meditation or moving about, as a practice, being mindful from morning to night, from waking until going to sleep, on whatever's predominant. So, some people find that if you're going to do that practice, it can be helpful to add a technique that's called mental noting. You don't have to do that. It's not mentioned in the suttas, but just another tip that you can experiment with. Some people like it and some don't. And all it means is that mentally in order to help you stay most of you're connected with the experience. But you make a mental note. So if with breathing, you could say the mentally in, out, or walking, or brushing the teeth, brushing, eating, moving your arms, moving. And so they might keep up a mental noting through the day as much as you can remember, and it becomes a practice through the day. That is a way to practice. And so that works very well for some people. So if that's what you're drawn to, then that for sure is the practice that you should be doing. Other people find that that's kind of exhausting because, it's not relaxed. They can get overtired and overworking. And I mentioned in the last session that the instructions for mindfulness of breathing could be prescriptive or descriptive. So prescriptive is prescribing what to do. That's more the literal way to take what the postures and all activities is saying. Descriptive is describing what happens, and this has been my own personal experience more, that out of the stability that comes from the formal sitting meditation, as that deepens, the mindfulness that carries through is more and more a result or a fruit of the practice, and not as a practice you're doing. So the mindfulness is still there as you carry about through your day. But rather than it just being something you have to keep doing and working, it can be more spacious and relaxed, even though the awareness is very clear and still there. It's not a spacing out. So it's a different flavor. So that's not right or wrong or better than another way, but I'm just offering a couple of different ways, whether you do it as a practice or it becomes a state of consciousness or awareness as a result of more formal sitting practices. So you can play with those. And again, we can see what the benefit of doing these kind of practices are. It keeps us, that mindfulness as it carries through more, we tend to get less lost and caught in things, less reactive because we're more present and aware. Or when we do get reactive, being grounded in body awareness in this way, remember these are all body mindfulness practices, really carries through and can support us to have more of an equanimity and a balance with things. So it can be quite powerful. So you can, again, find how it works for you best. As with the mindfulness of breathing on these two sections, it ends with the exact same phrase, a paragraph. In this way, you're mindful of the body as a body, meaning experientially, not a concept about the body. And you experience the body internally as we move about or in the postures, externally, however you relate to that, or both internally and externally. Or you can make a point to notice the rising and passing away, the changing. If you're moving about, it's pretty easy to feel the change, and you're particularly trying to notice change itself. You can see some people relate to that, some people that's not. So see how it is for you. And again, if this is more descriptive than prescriptive, rather than looking to notice change, as things stabilize, that awareness of things changing naturally arises more and more on its own. So you can see it more prescriptive or descriptive. Or just bare mindfulness, in other words, you're just connecting directly with experience. You're not looking for rising and passing away, just whatever bare mindfulness means to you. And in this way, we abide independent, not clinging to anything in the world. So you can do the experiment with this if you're drawn to it. How does that help you? Does it help you? How would it help you to move about if you kept your awareness more embodied? Mindfulness in the body as you moved about through the day. Don't overwork it. You want to stay spacious and relaxed, but connecting when you think it will serve you mindfully in the body during the day. And then notice for yourself the benefits, the fruits of how that might help carry a sense of balance and equanimity as you move about during your day.